personal brand. I got to create content. And the way I always look at it is that people buy from people, and your personal brand is an opportunity for you to showcase yourself, not as a salesperson, but as a human being. Because people will see your job title and they'll think, oh, there's another salesperson. But when you build a personal brand and you show that there's just a real human being behind that who actually cares and wants to help and has their own stories, that's where it really comes to life.
Welcome back to the Sales Gravy Podcast, guys. Today we have Daniel Disney on with us, the king of social selling, the king of LinkedIn. We're super excited to have you on, author of the, $1 million LinkedIn message?
That's the one.
Look, well, £1 million, excuse my American tendencies. So super excited to have you on. I really want to talk about personal branding with you today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to start first by saying that personal branding is one of those things and one of those terms I feel like gets thrown around like a lot. So build your brand, make sure everything you do aligns with your brand. But what is a brand? What am I building? So for salespeople especially, what does it mean to build your personal brand? Where do you even start with building a personal brand?
It's a really good question. For salespeople, it can be even more confusing because they're not used to it. They're used to making phone calls and sending emails, and now personal brand, I got to create content. And the way I always look at it is that people buy from people, and your personal brand is an opportunity for you to showcase yourself, not as a salesperson, but as a human being. Because people will see your job title and they'll think, oh, there's another salesperson. But when you build a personal brand and you show that there's just a real human being behind that who actually cares and wants to help and has their own stories, that's where it really comes to life. And the best way to look at it is imagine you're in person. So imagine you're at a networking event or a conference and you go up to someone. You're going to have a human conversation. You're going to talk about things you're mutually interested in. You're going to let them get to know you better. You're going to get to know them better. And your personal brand is basically using social media to showcase the human side to you. And in sales, there is nothing more valuable than that because no one wants to be sold to, but we like to connect with people. And it's an opportunity for salespeople to show the human behind the seller.
I guess people get a little scared about being pushy and they don't want to come off as, oh, I'm trying to sell you something. Because in the back of your mind, you're always thinking like, dang, I'm trying to get in there, but not really. So how do I subtly approach it? From a personal branding standpoint, is there a way to kind of balance out that authenticity with the professional side? And how exactly do you do that?
Absolutely. I always mention scales. And you have one of two choices when it comes to social media and personal branding, which is your personal content and your professional content. And if you go too professional, which some people do, especially salespeople, they just put out marketing collateral and professional stuff, people will struggle to engage with it. Usually it's not always optimized for interaction, so you'll struggle to get any results. Equally, if you go too personal and it's all selfies and pictures with your puppies and whatever it may be, people aren't going to take you seriously. There's no credibility there. They're not going to buy from you. It's that sweet spot in the middle. You want to share professional stuff to prove that you know your industry, that you care about your customers, but let them get to know the human side of you as well. If you can get that sweet spot, that's a personal brand done right. People look at you with authority and trust, but they also see the human behind it and they want to work with you.
Going back to it, what are some examples that you would say, like, to balance out, like, to mix in that personal with that business? Because of course you don't want to post about, hey guys, we're going to be at, I don't know, Top Sellers Academy this weekend. And then right behind it, you're like, here's a selfie with my dog. Like, what's the middle ground there?
Well, it's funny you mentioned the selfie with the dog. So let me give you two examples of where you get that perfect balance. Number one, let's say I'm selling to VPs of sales. So I might do a post on Monday that is, if I were a VP of sales, these are the three things I would be prioritizing. Pure value. My target audience want to get it. They're going to interact with it. It's a credibility putting out their post. On Tuesday, and this is a real post I've done, by the way, I might post a picture of me and my dog, and the caption will be, taking a break from delivering LinkedIn training to take this one for a run. And I'm there in my red branded t-shirt. My dog is looking adorable and getting more of the engagement than I am. But what it does is I've given value up front. I'm still giving some form of value and there's still credibility because I'm in the branded t-shirt. I'm talking about what I'm doing and how I'm helping people, but the dog's there as well. They're getting to see me. They're getting to see me. And I think that's the important bit. The more they see you, the more they get to know, like, and trust you. And that's what sales is all about. And if the dog's in there as well, it's a win-win.
It's a win-win. So what are some mistakes that you see people make when they're branding? Of course, we have like the personal versus the business, but what are some other mistakes that you're seeing?
Yeah, the scales is definitely one of the biggest ones, which is getting that balance right. The other thing is consistency. I have seen people actually build really good personal brands where they're getting tons of engagement, they're growing big audiences, and then they disappear for 4 to 6 weeks. And when they come back, the whole thing's dropped. The engagement's dropped. Yes, they still have the audience. You don't really lose that, but they're not getting the type of engagement they were before. Consistency is really important. Now, just to reassure people, this doesn't mean you have to live on LinkedIn for the rest of your life. I mean, I've been doing this consistently for about 10 years now. I have vacations. I take weekends off, but it's about using things like scheduling so that you can schedule content in advance so that even if you are not on LinkedIn, which is fine, at least you're still present. So balance is important. Getting the consistency is important, but also building trust and credibility is another thing people sometimes struggle with. And especially for people new in roles and in sales, you don't need to be the expert. And some people sometimes think that's what they have to be. They have to either pretend to be or fake being an expert. And actually, people just want to follow your journey. Even if you're brand new in sales, you could be an SDR who's just started a sales role. Just share your journey. You know, you could be an SDR selling to chief technical officers. And your content could be, today I spoke to a chief technical officer and they said a few things that got me confused. I need your help. Here are some of the things they told me. What does this mean? And what are you going to get? You're going to get lots of other CTOs coming in saying, oh, this means this, this means. And it's value giving, it's journey showing, and things like that build credibility. Just be yourself. Don't try and be anyone else. Get the balance right. Do those things, and that can really start to bring it together.
I love what you said on that because I think a lot of times what people end up doing and what puts them back from actually trying to develop is they feel like I have to come out the gate knowing everything. Yeah. And I'm guilty of this myself. Yeah. Like when I first made my LinkedIn page, I was the person who was like, okay, I got to make a banner. I have to have my headshot ready. Got to have everything. So that way, boom, I make my grand debut on LinkedIn, you know? And that's just simply not the case. So getting over that fear, you know, how do you actually how do you actually overcome that fear? I guess is the question.
It's anything new's scary. And salespeople will relate to this. Making your first cold call is scary. Doing anything new is scary. The key is to take it step by step and not overwhelm yourself with these expectations that I need this perfect profile and I need to create this perfect content. You're going to make mistakes. I looked back at some of the first pieces of content I shared. Oh, it makes me cringe. Literally, I teach everything opposite to what I did at the very start. But it's when you make those mistakes and you learn from them that you improve. So I think the key is to just get out there and try. Don't overthink it. Don't worry about it. Maybe it gets some engagement. Maybe it doesn't. It doesn't matter. Learn from it and keep going. Sometimes you just have to jump in the deep end. Obviously, there are things you can do to mitigate that. Do some learning, read the books, listen to the podcasts, listen to the experts, learn, test, practice, but it's kind of just getting stuck in your head when it comes to fear. And sometimes that comes from expectation of what's going to happen. And you kind of need to remove that. It's the same in sales. You don't go in sales trying to sell something. You go in sales to help people. If you want to build a personal brand and start being active on LinkedIn, don't do it because you want loads of engagement and loads of sales. Do it because you want to help people. You want to help your audience. You want to help your customers. That's a selfless act. No expectations. Doesn't matter if you get 1 like, 10 likes. You're just trying to help people. Keep doing that. It will steer you the right way.
Oh, and I actually want to circle back because you mentioned something super important and I would really like to know because I need to do this personally. So you mentioned you had content at the beginning, you look back at it, you kind of cringe a little bit. So if you've already kind of built up an online presence, how exactly are you supposed to kind of go back and almost audit your work essentially?
So I mean, obviously, the longer you've been doing it, the more difficult it becomes. Actually, it's one of the things that AI is really powerful for. So you can download your data from LinkedIn, for example. They'll give you every bit of your own personal data. And what I've started doing, which has been really helpful, is putting it into ChatGPT and asking it to analyze it. What has been my best performing posts? What are the topics? What is my audience resonating with? And it finds it for you, because otherwise it would be near impossible to go through your own stuff. But equally, sometimes you just have to scroll back and look through. The beauty of LinkedIn is you can kind of filter by different content forms. So I know that the first post I did was an article, so I can go back through my articles, which is a lot smaller a list than, every single post format. But it is a very helpful task. A, reflective, because it lets you look from where you've come from, but B, using things like AI to find what your audience is engaging the most with, what topics are they clearly engaging with, what format is really helpful to then help you with the future strategies of what you're going to keep doing. Because we might be testing all these things, but if we're not analyzing the results, then we're just going to be going in that same circle. So analyzing your content, looking at what's working, and what I would pair that up with is researching your prospects and customers. So if I'm a seller, I'm going to spend, an hour each week or each month, and I'm going to take 10 of my existing customers and 10 of my prospects, and I'm going to go onto their profiles and I'm going to go through their content and look at what are they sharing, what are they liking, what are they commenting on, and that's going to help me pull the strategy, because we're not just creating content for our own benefit, we're doing it to help our customers, and who better to tell us what they want than them?
Right. So I'm curious now, because you mentioned content. I love talking content, especially since I'm a big video buff. So algorithms. Let's talk the LinkedIn algorithm. What are you finding right now? Is it we've heard a lot about the PDFs and the carousels coming back. What are we seeing on LinkedIn?
I will share something with you that's come directly from LinkedIn, and it blew my mind about the algorithm, because for the last 5-10 years, everyone's been focused on the algorithm. What is the algorithm doing? This mysterious cloud monster that sits on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn actually confessed that there is more than one algorithm. In fact, there are multiple algorithms happening at any given point, and what you are experiencing could be completely different to what I'm experiencing. And to me, that kind of blew my mind, but then it made sense at the same time, because when you see people talking and they'll be complaining about something and you'll think, well, actually, that's working for me. And it makes sense. So there are multiple algorithms. Trying to play that game is very tricky, but we can keep our ears to the ground and listen to what is and isn't working. And when I say listen, I mean watch the feed. So yes, right now, carousels have come back. They were popular about a year ago, then they died out late last year when videos started becoming popular. Videos now dying down a little bit, and carousels are getting a boost. I think we're hearing that videos are going to come back up. So all you can do is watch what your audience is resonating with, what format as well as topic, see what's getting the most engagement. The algorithm does push new features. So when LinkedIn launched the video tab late 2024, they got a bit of a boost. It's all been manual. So the portrait videos on the video tab, they're manually selected at the moment. LinkedIn is yet to switch on the button to make it automated and mainstream. When that happens, I can almost guarantee the algorithms are going to boost portrait videos. So one of the things I'm building up is a library of portrait videos ready to use, as well as leveraging things like carousels that are clearly popular right now. But the reality is, any form of content can be good if it's good content. I have text posts that go viral. I have image posts that go viral. Always be steered by the highest possible quality content that's built to help your audience. As long as you focus on helping your network, doesn't always matter what form it is. But I use the algorithm analogy if it's a wave. If you imagine you're a surfer on the beach and you're waiting for that wave to come, the algorithm is like a wave. So if you see a wave coming, right now it's carousels, grab your surfboard, jump on it, create some carousels, ride the wave. When it dies down, come back. If it's going to be portrait videos next, get ready to grab your portrait video surfboard, get out there on that wave and benefit from that extra engagement while it's there.
Right. So definitely going to have to take some time, build up the reservoir, because we got to be ready for anything, right? So going back to personal branding a little bit, I want to talk and briefly touch on, do you think it's possible to have multiple almost brand personalities? And if you do have multiple brand personalities, can you differentiate them? So for instance, of course, I work here at Sales Gravy. I do a lot of film and photography on the side. Though sales and film, they can collide. Obviously, we have distribution and things like that, but they're also two separate worlds depending on where you're at. So I feel like I'm managing two different identities essentially.
So there are ways to do this, and there are lots of salespeople that sell different products in different industries. They might have a side hustle. It's a common question I get all the time, and I was in exactly the same position. When I started using LinkedIn, I was selling to the IT industry, but I was creating content for salespeople. Now I run the Daily Sales, which is a separate business, to brand Dan Disney, the author. You know, they're two very different things. So the key things to do are try and find ways they can merge together, obviously. Make it very clear on your profile. So if you go to my profile, you'll see it's visually there in my banner. And by the way, LinkedIn have just launched carousel banners, slideshow banners. So you actually now can have multiple slides that take people through the different things that you do. You could have it listed in your headline. I have bullet point headlines that show author, the daily sales, so they list them all there. Your summary section has a huge amount of space. So again, my first part is based on brand Dan Disney. Then I have a bit on the daily sales. So you can list the different things you do there. And then when it comes to content, I would just make your content strategy proportionate to whichever one you want to prioritize. So maybe 80% is the core thing that you're doing, and then maybe 20% promotes the other thing. If it's a side hustle, maybe your weekend posts are about that. And in the week, you're posting about work. Always make sure whatever your bread and butter is gets the priority. But those would be the ways I would split a personal brand in essence. One of the things some people ask is, should I just have two profiles? And I would definitely advise against that. That's just going to confuse everyone. One profile is more than enough. Just make sure you split it in an appropriate way.
Yes. So I was definitely the person who, I need two. I can do two. I have not logged into the other one in maybe like 2 to 3 months. It just works like that.
Yeah.
So what are some roadblocks that you see for people when they're trying to build up their brand? Any challenges?
Time is probably one of the biggest ones because it takes time. Creating content, growing a network, being active. And actually, I would say LinkedIn's become more time requiring than it's ever been before. Whereas you used to just be able to post a bit of content and add some connections and go. One of the biggest things that's impacting personal brands now is commenting. And that takes time. There is no easy way of doing that. You have to physically put the graft in to comment on multiple industry posts. So you need to put that time in. Biggest thing I advise is going into your calendar and booking 30, 60 minutes a day for LinkedIn. Set it as a recurring meeting for the rest of the year. Just have that bit of accountability. So you know at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., right, half an hour, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm going to create some content. I'm going to add some connections and I'm going to leave some comments. But consistency is a challenge for anyone. If you decide you want to get fit, being consistent at the gym is hard. If you want to learn a new hobby, I'm trying to learn golf. The hardest thing to learn. I have to keep going back and basically sucking at something, which again is why we often stop doing things.
Yes.
You know, you're trying to do LinkedIn and build a personal brand, but it takes a while to take off. So it's easy to just be like, forget it. So being consistent, pushing through those barriers. And I guess the other one is learning new skills. It's not natural for everyone to build a personal brand, to create content, to leave comments, to optimize a profile. So it's that, you know, pushing through the challenges of learning something new, making it a habit and pushing through what might be a slow start. Because if you can get that momentum going, it becomes a lot easier when you're getting engagement and results. Then that's the easy stuff. But when you're doing it and you're getting nothing, so you have to kind of be patient, I guess.
Yes. So that actually kind of goes into my next question is, what advice would you give, say, a high school student? You know, because you kind of start building around that, like the high school going into college point. What would you give someone in kind of like that 18, let's say 18 to 25 age range as they kind of go through that process of starting to build?
Well, this is future-proofing maybe your first career, your main big job that you're aspiring to. So there are a few things I would prioritize. Number one, always have an optimized profile. Even if you're a student, make your profile look as professional as possible. Good, clear photo, good background, but be honest with what your core journey is, which is learning. Don't try and be an expert. Don't try and preach or teach. Just go out there to learn. And whatever industry you are trying to get into, just be immersed in learning that industry and building a level of brand in it. So start commenting on experts and influencers in that spot. Start learning from them, contributing to their posts, and bringing that all into your profile. So if and when you're ready to get a job or look for a job, your profile stands out from probably everyone else out there. You've got a name out there that some hiring managers might already know. So when you start applying for jobs, I've seen John, who's been active on LinkedIn for a while. You know, that's going to put you ahead of the competition. Good profile, bit of activity, bit of consistency, and just be you. Don't try and be something else. Be a student. Be whatever it is that you are. Go out there to learn, and then when you're ready to make a jump into the career world, hopefully you'll be ahead of everyone else.
Sounds like slow down. That's the core message. Slow down.
Whoa.
Well, Daniel, thank you so much for your time. Great advice. And I'm definitely taking some of this back with me. I'm actually going to go audit my own LinkedIn now, I think, because that is something cringy
I'll
to
come
look
with you
at
if you want.
So thank you so much for being on the Sales Gravy podcast. We hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Daniel, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to click like and subscribe so you never miss a single video. And if you want more sales training content, go to learn.salesgravy.com.